We begin our Aegean holiday watching the ships move through the busy harbor in Piraeus, the town where the 1960 movie Never on Sunday, depicting the Greek spirit, was filmed. With the sun about to disappear into the Aegean Sea, we sail towards our destination, Istanbul, by journeying through the Dardanelles, the straits connecting the Aegean Sea with the Sea of Marmara. Later that evening, we approached the brightly lit shoreline of Istanbul, the largest city in Turkey, formerly known as Byzantium, until the Roman Emperor Constantine the Great renamed it Constantinople in 324. It was renamed Istanbul after Constantinople fell to the Turks in 1453. In the morning, we drive over the Bosphorus, a strait of water separating Asian Turkey from European Turkey and connecting the Sea of Marmara with the Black Sea. The name Bosphorus means Ford of the Ox in Greek, and is derived from the myth of the maiden Io, who swam the strait after Zeus changed her into a heifer, and Hera sent a gadfly to pursue her. Although Istanbul has many amazing sights, three places seem to draw the most attention. Our first stop, the Sultan Ahmed Mosque, is one of the most revered masterpieces of Turkey and the whole Islamic world. Large groups of pilgrims begin their pilgrimage to Mecca from this great mosque. Built between 1609 and 1616 with 6 minarets, it is a striking example of classical mosques. The Sultan Ahmed Mosque is known as the Blue Mosque due to the 21,000 handmade blue ceramic tiles used in the decoration of its interior. The name Hagia Sophia, mistranslated as Saint Sophia, actually means holy wisdom. The first Hagia Sophia Basilica was built in the 4th century by Constantius, son of Constantine the Great. It burned down in 404. The second basilica was built in 415 and served Christians until 532, when it also burned down during an uprising against the Romans. The Roman Emperor Justinian suppressed the revolt and ordered a temple like nothing seen before the day of Adam or can be seen in the future. He built immediately on the remains of the second Hagia Sophia. Throughout its lifetime, the maintenance of the Hagia Sophia has been extremely expensive. With the poverty that existed during the end of the Byzantine Empire, the church was left virtually in ruins. The conquest of Istanbul by the Turks under Sultan Ahmed the Conqueror and the eventual conversion of Hagia Sophia into a mosque saved this beautiful monument. In 1930, after serving as a place of worship for two religions believing in the same God, 916 years as a basilica and 477 as a mosque, the Hagia Sophia was converted into a museum. Topkapi is the oldest and largest palace remaining in the world. After Sultan Ahmed II conquered Istanbul in 1453, he had his first palace built. Soon afterward, he ordered the construction of a new palace, Topkapi, in 1459. In 1853, with the completion of the new Dal Mabachi Palace, Topkapi lost its status as the official home of the Sultan. Today it serves as a world-class museum. From the holiday resort town of Kudüs on the southwest shore of Turkey, a 20-minute bus ride through the Turkish countryside along the coast of Asia Minor takes us to Ephesus, one of the 12 cities of the ancient Greek district of Ionia. Excavations in Ephesus began in 1863. They revealed a large portion of the city, including temples, public buildings, shops, houses, streets, and a magnificent theater. Known in antiquity for its sacred shrines, Ephesus is the home of one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, the temple to the goddess Artemis. Here we arrive at the island of Patmos, where St. John the Divine arrived in 95 AD. This is where he had the vision described in the book of Revelation.
Patmos town is divided into 2 parts. Below is the harbor, or Scala, with an attractive waterfront that is much more chic than many such places. It is a steep but spectacular walk up to the high part of town, Agora, which has lots of impressive old mansions, as well as about 40 churches, chapels, and monasteries. The monastery of St. John is the most famous of these. Built in 1088 with fortified walls to resist attack by pirates, it is still a working monastery. Only certain parts are open to visitors.
Le monastère était compris, comme vous le voyez aujourd'hui, au XIVe siècle. En ce moment, il y a 23 moines orthodoxes qui habitent ici. Autrefois, il y en avait 200. Okay, here we are inside St. John's Monastery, the oldest monastery of the island. It was founded in the year 1088 by a monk called Christodolos. You can see him here. Later on in the 6th century, they built the first Christian basilica, and finally in 1088, Christodolos arrived on this island. He was a very devoted monk, and he was a man with an extraordinary education, and he was the founder of this monastery.
Mandrake Harbor was actually also the ancient harbor of the ancient city of Rhodes. The ancient city of Rhodes was built in the year 408 BC, so Rhodes city actually has a life of more than 2,400 years. So the Colossus of Rhodes was standing here in the entrance of Mandrake Harbor for about 60 years, from the year 304 BC till the year 240 BC, and it fell because of a strong earthquake. So actually nothing was found of the Colossus. All the informations we have about the Colossus of Rhodes come from ancient writers.
South of Rhodes town, on the eastern side of the island, we find the distinctive town of Lindros, where you can walk or ride a donkey up to the impressive Acropolis, which stands on a huge outcrop of rock above the town and beach.
Lindros has been inhabited since about 3000 BC, and the remains of the Acropolis, which towers 380 feet high, dates back to the 4th century BC, along with the Temple of Lindia Athena. Far below, on the ocean side of the Acropolis, is St. Paul's Bay, where the apostle arrived in 43 AD to bring Christianity to the island. Rhodes was a crucial stop on the road to the Holy Land during the Crusades. It came briefly under the Venetian influence, then Byzantine, then Genovese, but in 1309, when the Knights of St. John took the city from its Genoese masters, its most glorious modern era began. Here we see an artist drawing pictures for tourists in front of the castle area and the palace of the Grand Masters built by the Knights of St. John. Crete, located southeast of the Greek mainland, is the 5th largest island in the Mediterranean. No island can more rightly claim to be the cradle of European civilization. When the Minoans ruled Crete, they lived in fresco palaces with modern drainage, lavish entertainment, and beautiful interiors. From about 3000 BC to 1100 BC, Knossos was the economic and political center of the Minoan civilization, and today constitutes one of the foremost thriving Minoan sites. Knossos was known in Greek mythology as the palace of the legendary King Minos, the ruler of the large naval empire, and as the site of the labyrinth that was supposed to have been constructed by Minos' architect Daedalus to house the Minotaur.
And you were great. Absolutely.
Santorini is about 29 square miles in area. The island and the surrounding islands are formed from the rim of an ancient volcano that exploded in about 1500 BC. This disaster may have been the basis for the writings of Plato about the lost continent of Atlantis. The main town, Phera, which has a sheltered ancient harbor and is set on top of sheer cliffs that lead to a precipitous summit that is 1,916 feet above sea level. The town was severely damaged by an earthquake in 1956 and has largely been rebuilt since then. The most notable features of the town are the blue-domed churches. Today, thanks to the fateful day in 1500 BC when volcanic Santorini blew its top, the island is considered by many to be the single most spectacular sight in Greece. This is where some of the most beautiful accommodations, restaurants, bars in the world. Hanging along the edge of the cliff with a bird's eye view of ships like toys in a bathtub down below. Phera can be reached in several ways by walking a steep zigzag of 587 stone steps, the famous donkey ride, or, thanks to modern technology, by way of a cable car which reaches the top in 2 minutes. We find ourselves in Athens, the largest city in Greece. The 2004 Olympic Games were held here. Many Greek towns have their own Acropolis or upper city, but Athens has the most famous one in the world. Highlighted by the Parthenon, the Acropolis is one of the most beautiful constructions made by man. Whether you see the Parthenon from miles away, from your hotel balcony or roof, from the city below or close up, you will be impressed. You can reach the entrance to the Acropolis by walking up one of the 2 approaches on the western end. Once you reach the Acropolis, you have a panoramic view of Athens, and when you look down at the Agora, you can see the Temple of Hephaestus. From time to time, the Parthenon has been roped off to prevent visitors from destroying the precious marble. The sheer number of feet and hands of those who come to admire have had a negative impact on the site. The skyline is usually marred by the sight of a crane or some construction equipment, but this is due to vital reconstruction and preservation work since some of the marble has cracked and needs to be bound together. The Parthenon was completed in 438 BC after 9 years of construction. In 1687, munitions stored in the building exploded and the marble roof was destroyed. In 1801, Thomas Bruce, Earl of Elgin and British ambassador to Turkey, removed many stones from the structure and sold them to the British Museum. Over on your left, as you approach the Parthenon, is the Erechtheion, added between 421 and 395 BC. This building includes the porch of the Caryatids, where the supporting columns have been sculptured in the shape of 6 maidens. The ones on the site now are copies. 5 of the original statues are in the Acropolis Museum. The other one was taken by Lord Elgin. The Acropolis Museum at the far end of the site has a very impressive collection of pieces. As you move around the city, you see the broad variety in Athens. In Mazotaraki Square, you find a beautiful Byzantine church in the middle of a vast shopping area. Nearby, as well as in every other part of Athens, you will find lively outdoor cafes. One of the most exciting places in Athens is the Plaka, an old part of the city at the foot of the Acropolis, where you will be surrounded by souvenir shops. Syntagma Square, meaning Constitutional Square, faces the Greek Parliament, which was completed as a royal palace in 1842. King Otto I proclaimed Greece's first constitution from its balcony. Greek soldiers guard the tomb of the unknown soldier and pose for pictures. The Olympic Games started in ancient Greece over 3,000 years ago and continued for over 1,000 years. In the 5th century BC, about the same time as the Parthenon was built, the Athenians constructed a temple to Zeus, the same size as the Parthenon, in the center of the Olympic grounds. The temple was destroyed by an earthquake. The ancient Agora, or marketplace, was originally a cemetery. Today, some tombs are still visible. In the 6th century BC, the Agora became a marketplace and the hub of activity in Athens. On the grounds of the Agora, a building similar to the Parthenon sits behind the trees, the Temple of Hephaestus, built during 449 to 444 BC. Although the Temple of Hephaestus was built before the Parthenon and is in relatively good condition, it sits in the shadow of the omnipresent Parthenon. To the ancient Greeks, Delphi was the center of the universe. It lies on the south side of the Parnassus Mountains, overlooking a beautiful valley. In the 12th century BC, pilgrims began to come to Delphi to seek the advice of the oracle. These visits continued for over 1,500 years. The 7th day of the month was a very popular time for a visit to Delphi, because anyone could ask the oracle for guidance on any subject. The oracle at Delphi was not a specific person. Over the years, women were chosen to serve as the oracle. The ancient Greeks believed these women had been given the power to make prophecies by the god Apollo. It seems the oracle entered a drug-induced trance whenever she made a prophecy, and the priest who attended her interpreted her voice for the petitioner. The theater was built in the 4th century BC and held 5,000 people. The stadium, on the other hand, had a larger seating capacity and was used to hold the Pythian Games every 4 years, similar to the Olympic Games. The museum at Delphi is near the entrance to the site and has many fine pieces. About an hour's drive south of Athens, the Temple of Poseidon, god of the sea, stands on top of Cape Sunion. The temple was built in 444 BC on this rocky peninsula that points out toward the blue sea. Beautiful panoramic views of the Aegean Sea and the surrounding area can be seen from the temple site.